Hey folks, today we're going to play some Napoleonic games, and this is campaign Leipzig by Wargames Design Studio, one of the old John Tiller software games that has been lovingly polished up by WDS. Now, this is their current game of the week, and this is kind of a cool thing that these guys are doing. So, they're having a game of the week where they put a game on sale. Now, these games are really, really cool, okay? You've probably seen me play some of the modern stuff, and I was playing a squad battles game set in World War II last week. I've been playing the Napoleonic games in this series much longer. I've been playing these for about 3 years now. And I'd say the Napoleonic games are really good because the complexity level is, quite manageable, I think, for beginners. They are still quite a complex war game, don't get me wrong, but they are less complex, I would say, than the modern campaign series, which are also excellent. But yeah, I got into the Napoleonic games because I was watching Sharp, which is because I'm a bit of a Sean Bean fan, and I love Sharp. And yeah, I kind of got into those. So I bought the ones set during the Peninsular War, with Bonaparte's Peninsular War and Wellington's Peninsular War. Two really good games. They are mostly smaller scale campaigns. Smaller scale battles. So kind of small and medium sized battles for the most part, with a couple of really big ones thrown in there. And but when I saw that Wargames Design Studio were their game of the week this time was campaign Leipzig, my eyes kind of lit up because I've also got one. I've actually got Napoleon's Russian War as well, where he fought the Battle of Borodino, a very bloody battle. But campaign Leipzig has got one of the biggest battles in all of the Napoleonic Wars, as far as I can tell. Now, I'm not a massive. I like the history of this stuff, and I really got into reading about the history of the Napoleonic Wars. So I've got a passing interest in it, but I'm no expert, and this stage of it I really don't know very much about. But basically, Wargames Design Studio is pretty cool, right? They'll tell you what the games are, what their games are about. They give you some background knowledge. You can actually jump in and check this in. Well, we just remind myself how you do this. Control tab, isn't it? There we are. So if you go on Wikipedia as well, I don't usually recommend using Wikipedia for anything anymore. It's terrible, but actually for certain historical things, it's kind of all right. So it gives you a nice summary of what actually happened in the run-up to the Battle of Leipzig, which was October of 1813. And so yeah, this game series covers the kind of the fall period or the autumn period of 1813. There's also campaign Bautzen, which focuses on the spring of that year as well. This was basically when Napoleon was starting to get pushed back. He'd lost, his disastrous invasion of Russia, a very bloody battle at Borodino, and then he was pushed back at Moscow and fought this crazy fighting retreat, kind of march all the way back to his territory, and he never really recovered. And so in 1813, he was then attacked by a coalition, which was, let me just remind myself. Yeah, it was Russia, Prussia, and Austria, Sweden, and a bunch of kind of like smaller nations that decided that they were sick of Napoleon's aggression essentially, and it was time to put him down. And they did that at the big Battle of Leipzig. Now, I'm gonna just check. Let's jump into the game. So I'm not going to talk too much. I want to play the game, but I think it's important for you to know why it is I want to play this. Okay, so if there's any of you who are kind of like Shadow Empire, or you like 4X games, or you've watched along this far, I want to sell this to you, right? Why is it that I like playing war games, classic war games like this? And I think the answer is that they provide something completely different to what you would get with a sort of 4X or sort of classic strategy game, PC strategy game. One of the things that is different about war games is that they are victory point based. So you don't get this thing where games kind of drag on, right? You've won, but you've just got to keep going. You don't really get that in war games because the victory points keep you playing. Okay, so that's one big advantage they have over 4X and 4X like games. I think the other advantage they have is that because they are victory point based and they are usually based around one battle or series of battles, you can kind of challenge yourself. Okay, how well are you going to do at this particular map? Now, I like this sort of thing. I don't like campaigns in 4X. So you'll rarely see me play stuff like that. I just don't like them. I don't think they work very well. I think that's a format that's better for war games and for things like games like RTS. But for 4X it doesn't work. So So yeah, I think it's nice to be able to see a game like this. The other thing, of course, is that you get to learn loads of cool history too. And one of the first things that I do whenever I kind of get into these games, or when I start playing these games for any length of time, is I kind of stop playing and I just start reading books and, things like Wikipedia articles and watching YouTube videos about all the kind of period of history. So it's kind of educational as well. And one thing that I think before I do start that is really, really worth pointing out is not only have Wargame Design Studio really done a beautiful job of upgrading the user interface to make it a lot more modern and usable. I mean, it's still an old style interface, don't get me wrong, but it just feels a lot more modern now. You cannot put into words how much effort that they put into these games, or they originally put into these games when they were researching all the battles, having to make the maps, meticulously going through every single combat unit in the game and giving it as close to the historical accurate mechanics as they can. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And if you read the designer's notes for each of these games, whether it's the Napoleonic games, whether it's the squad battles or the modern campaigns or the World War II stuff or any of the others, they'll talk about the design decisions that they took, and how often there'll usually be a fairly substantial piece of writing discussing the development of the game as well and where it was that they got their sources. It's absolutely mad to me that people could put so much effort and love into a game. So if this is your bag, right, you're going to enjoy this, right? If this is not your normal bag, I urge you to at least watch for a little while just to see if it could be your bag, because I think these games are really, really good. Okay, they are very, very well designed, and they've been going for years as well. I mean, the Napoleonic series are 20 years old, I think, some of them at this point. WDS have been going through and standardizing. Now, this is a crazy game because this has got like 300 scenarios. Now, you'll see here the scenario names. You've got like M15 at the start here. This, asterisk, exclamation mark M15. This means that these are the modernized 15-minute turn versions, and you've also got the original 10-minute turns. So when if your eyes light up thinking, oh wow, there's 300 maps, just be aware that some of them have variations. Like for each mission you're going to get 3 or 4 different variants, okay, but there are still a lot of battles to fight. There's loads, and some of them are big as well, like the Leipzig map. So we got the campaign Leipzig. This is 265 turns, okay, and the map is enormous. It's enormous, and maybe I'll just show you that really quickly, because I think, and WDS and John Tiller and all those guys, right, JTS Software, whatever they were called, they were well aware that not everybody is going to want to play a 200 turn game. You don't have time, right? So I think they knew this, and they made plenty of really small scenarios too. Here's the big one, right? Let's just go to, I'm just going to put it on head to head so we don't get any AI, right? So this is the big this is the campaign Leipzig, 3 days of Leipzig. There's also a 4 days of Leipzig. Now, bearing in mind one of the battle days in the Leipzig battle was rained out basically, so not much was going on. So the two armies kind of rested, but you can play that as well if you want to. But let me just show you the size of this battle, right? I'm just going to click on this. Now, by the way, there's going to be spoilers, obviously, if you don't want to see the starting positions. So just be aware of that. So let me just show you the size of this battle. Let's just zoom out to the highest zoom out size. Oh, so the widest scale. So here we go. Look, this is the various armies, and we use the jump map to move around. Look how big this damn map is. And this is a 4-day battle, right? It's quite possible that you could fight on any portion of this map. Let's just zoom in on one portion. Okay, there are your individual units. Look, 347 men in this light brigade here, or this the element of a light brigade light company. So as you can see, it's big. This is a big game, and this is just one. There's one scenario. Okay, so there's a lot. You get a lot for your money with these games. They do seem a little pricey at $40, but when they're on sale like this, they are $30. They're 25% off, so you get them for just under $30. And I think if you're into this kind of thing, the pricing on these games is really, really good. So yeah, I mean, go check it out. All right. Anyway, let me show you. I'm just going to reload this, and we just pause the game, and then I'll show you the map we're going to play. Okay, so we're back. And yeah, I'm actually going to play the getting started scenario. One of the reasons is because it's 12 turns and it's something that I can potentially finish off pretty quickly. You know, I'm going to try and keep the episode short, but it'll probably be like a two episode playthrough, I'd say, maybe 3. Now, I'm going to try to play it relatively quickly. It's not going to be a tutorial. I'm not going to be describing all of the game mechanics because the game's quite complex, but it's not so complex that you can't pick it up just by watching someone play. So, this is the getting started campaign. You use this for learning the game, but I actually looked at these and I thought, no, this is going to be a really good one for me to play because it shows you a lot of stuff in the game and it's really fun as well. It's actually a really good map. It's rare to have a tutorial campaign or a tutorial mission in a strategy game where it's actually fun to play. You know, you would actually go back and play it over and over, whereas most of the time they're just kind of like really basic and boring. Not so with the WDS games, I've got to tell you. So, this is the first tutorial scenario for the game, and it's part of the Battle of Denowitz. The goal is to help you get used to the interface and how to move, fire, and attack melee the enemy. You will choose the Allied side and select the AI to play the French. Leave Fog of War off for this first game so you can see how the enemy moves its troops. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it on. Your goal is to hold Gulsdorf by the end of the scenario, and if possible, take the hill to the north of the town. Historically, the Prussians were thrown out of the village, but regained it with a strong counterattack. Okay, so, and it just says you use the recommended rules for this one. And there's loads and loads of optional rules you can add, and they're not so much to add more complexity usually, but they're more to kind of certain optional rules, certain scenarios better. So it's kind of interesting in that respect. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be controlling the Allies against the French in this game, and like I say, we're just going to leave the optional rules now. The most important optional rule that really changes the game is manual defensive fire, and that changes the game from, you know, French turn to Allies turn into a kind of phase thing where French will move, French will do offensive fire. French will move, then Allies get to defensive fire, I think, and then you will get the French moving. The defensive fire is automated when you play it on the setting I've got. It just makes the game a little bit quicker. They changed it. There's multiple optional rules for the way that defensive fire works, just to make things a little bit more friendly and kind of fair, I guess, for multiplayer, because it was possible to cheese the AI or to cheese other players. Now, here we go. Look, so these are the French formations, and I'll quickly describe what they all mean. Here's some defensive fire going off from our skirmishers on the front line. And you see, you know, these are like formations of 300 plus men. So killing 1 or 2 men isn't the end of the world, really. Now, one big thing that's changed in these recent versions of the game, not only is the standard time limit now, the standard turns are 15 minutes per turn, but also the range of the weapons of the muskets have increased. So before, I think it was I think you had a 200 meter range. Yeah, that's something I should describe to you, by the way. So each hex is 100 meters. Each hex will represent a certain kind of terrain, and the range of the weapons, obviously, because it's the Napoleonic era, they were using muskets. I'll just turn the sound down here because it's really loud. At least in my ear, it's really loud. Okay, yeah, we've got some more defensive fire going off as the French are moving their forces in. Okay, now it's the French melee phase. No melee. So now it's the Allies' turn. That's us. So we're playing the Prussians. You can turn the objectives on and off. You can see here that oh yeah, you've got this kind of like, this is like the you know, the miniatures view, if you want to think about it like this. It doesn't actually look that great on this resolution. It didn't look great anyway, to be honest, and I rarely use it. Sometimes it can be good to kind of get an idea of the terrain. You might be able to read that a little bit better, but I tend to play most of the game mostly in one of these two views. Sometimes I'll in the bigger maps, you'll use the jump map to jump around like this. Look, so let's see what we've got. So we've got the objectives. We've got the this town of Gulsdorf here. We want to hold it. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 objectives here. Then there's also a hill that's currently held by the French. So we want to take those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 objective points if we can. The way the game is scored is much like the other Tiller games. There's a victory point system. So it picks a side as a kind of first side, and then it determines whether or not that first side get a major victory or a major loss. So since the French are the first side, the way we win is by giving them a major defeat. Okay, so there's 25 objective points to be had. Then you lose points for losing anything from your table of equipment, and then you gain points for killing enemy troops as well. So, and then it gives you the victory points that you need in order to get these various scores. So that's how it's scored. It's pretty simple. Now, every troop has kind of like a viewing range, or what they can see from their hex. And with the optional rule on, you can only check your line of sight from your actual units. You might have seen me if I've been playing the modern campaigns games and stuff. Sometimes I'll click on these hexes to see where I can see from. By default, that rule is turned off in the Napoleonics. Okay, so here these S units with S means these are skirmishers. Now, the way that Napoleonic units kind of fought was that they marched in columns. They deployed into lines, like of usually 2 or 3 men deep, and then they would use that to fire because you get better coverage. But they would assault in columns, generally speaking. Now, you don't need to assault in columns. You can assault in line formation too, but you're not going to be as effective. The French, pretty much everybody, I think, in the Napoleonic games, apart from the English or the British, they get bonuses to assaulting in column formation, because that's how the French used to fight. They used to march in a big column of men, like hundreds of men, and smash through the enemy lines. But yeah, when they are deployed like this, that means they are wanting to fire. It is more difficult for troops to maneuver and stay in formation when they're in line formation. I don't know if I don't think I've got the optional rule on where if you move, you can become disordered. And then if your units are disordered, they're more vulnerable to being attacked, and they don't fight as effectively. Each unit, or many units, can deploy skirmishers. So what would happen is each one of these, brigade sections, I think is it companies? No, companies are smaller. Anyway, each one of these brigades basically would have a unit or a company of skirmishers that could then deploy. So like 50 odd men, something like this, maybe 100 men out of a 300 or 400 men group. They would deploy out as skirmishers and fight, without formation. These guys don't have a facing, and you basically use them as a screen. You'll see here that I'm going to turn the objectives off so we can see what we're doing. So here we've got a couple of skirmishers that are belonging to this brigade here. So this is 6th Brigade, right? So 6th Brigade here under, what's this commander called? Oh, he doesn't have a name. Okay, that's interesting. Usually even the brigadier generals will often have a name. I think here they've not got names. It's likely that they didn't know who it was. Okay, so we got 3 brigadier general leaders. If you press C, by the way, you can see their command range. Good to keep people within their command range. And yes, you've got light brigades. Light brigades can completely deploy into skirmishers, so they are really, really useful. Some of them, yes, when it says can deploy, it means you can actually create skirmishers. Look, so you've got a skirmisher unit here that's created, and you can put them back together again as well. Ooh. Only light pioneer can send out multiple skirmishers. Oh, pressing the wrong button. I thought that's how you did it. No. Oh. There we are, sorry. So you just click on the skirmisher. So you don't take any movement points doing that. Anyway, let's have a look at the forces that we've got. So we've got some cannons up on this left flank here. We've got some heavy cannons, which are larger. These are 12-pounder guns. We've got some smaller guns, which are 6-pounders. Gosh, my eyes. And yeah, so these are 6-pounder guns. We've got some 12-pounder guns here as well. Then on this flank, we've got some 6-pound guns again. These are foot-driven, all of them. Then we've got some horse artillery. These are everything. Horse artillery units are basically artillery that are drawn by horses. They're all the crew are also horse-mounted too, so they can move really, really quickly. I think one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to limber up these horse artillery, because they can't see much here, right? They can actually fire here. All right, that's interesting. Are they within range? They've got a range of 17. Yeah, so your accuracy and potential damage is going to reduce. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Yeah, so they're 8 range. Yeah, that's not going to be too bad. So we might actually just fire these guys straight off. So that could be our first move of the game. Could be to fire at this brigade here. There we go. So we killed 7 men. They fired. These guys cannot move, and I think they're not going to be able to see much. It looks like our own troops on this front line are getting in the way, so I'm going to limber these guys up. We're going to go to change formation. Usually I use hotkeys for all this, by the way, but I won't do for the start of this. Now, this tells us where we can move to. I think we're going to get these guys moved onto the... Yeah, we'll get them moved up to here. And then they're going to want to turn... Okay, they can't turn this turn. Yeah, we're not going to be able to fire them next turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these guys and we're going to keep them basically on this line here. We're going to turn them around and then the following turn they'll be able to shoot. Okay. We've got some cavalry. We've got lancers. These guys are actually... You don't get these so much in the Napoleonic era, but these are lance troops basically with the old style lance. Let's get these guys threatening the enemy on this flank here. I want to keep them out of range of the enemy, though. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we want to keep them out of musket range because cavalry are kind of vulnerable, but they are very, very effective in. They are very, very effective when it comes to melee against infantry units, unless the infantry unit's in a square formation. Okay, now we want to. Oops, sorry, wrong button there. We want to try to take this victory point here. So I'm going to move these guys. This is the 6th Brigade. I'm going to move these guys up in column formation. And we're going to go and try to take this hill if we can. So let's just move these guys straight up. Taking some skirmishing fire there as we move in. Okay, no effect from those skirmishes either. As you can see, you can drag and drop your units to move them. Okay, next turn we're gonna deploy some skirmishers, get some our own skirmishers out. Yeah, we don't need to do that this turn. Okay, here we've got the division general, and so we want to get this guy and his supplies. He's got a bunch of supplies now. Supplies are manually modelled, are physically modelled in this game, which I really, really like. You have to guard your supplies. You have to be careful about losing them as well. Okay, so yeah, you want all of your, if you can, you want as many of your commanders, these brigadier generals, for example, within the command range of the superior officer, because the way that I won't describe the exact mechanics, but there's basically a command check made at the start of the turn for each of your generals, and if they pass it, they carry down a bonus to the lower level commanders who also make their roll. Now, if anybody is disordered or routing, that will help them with their morale checks, and it also helps other aspects of the game too. So if you're, for example, if somebody moves close to you, if you move close to somebody and they're a threatening unit, you can sometimes become disordered, and obviously you have to make a morale check. So the morale check comes from the leader. So you want the leaders basically in a position where they can command everybody. Okay. What are we doing on this front line? Now, let's have a look at our terrain. So hit the U to get rid of the units for a moment. It still tells you where they are, look. So you can still click on them to see what's here. We've got some villages here, and you'll see that it says in this hex unit icon information, or the hex bar information bar. This is an objective point worth 25 points. These are all worth 25 points here, these objectives. And minus 20%, it says village minus 20%. What this means is that you get a minus 20% modifier to enemy damage, basically. So you want to be sat in a village if you can. Here's an interesting thing though. This is a very large unit. Now we've got some skirmishers deployed. I'm actually going to move these skirmishers. Yeah, I think these skirmishers are actually going to go and move up onto this flank here. Yeah, we want to be drawing the enemy to shoot at the skirmishers, because I'd rather them kill a few skirmishers and waste their ammunition than shoot at our columns as they come in. I'm actually going to do some fire as well here. Get some skirmishing fire going off. Okay, so here on this front line, we've got a bunch of very, very large units. Okay, these are like these really, really big units. This is the second part of the 3rd Brigade. So this is the 3rd Brigade, 3rd Company, I think that is. Oh, and that's two of three. That's one of three. And that's... Okay, this is a different group. 3rd Brigade, 3rd Company, I think. Okay. And that's one of three. Okay, so these three here, and then this is the Light Brigade. So we've got these three are all really large. They've got large numbers of men. And you'll see here it says shortened line. What that means is these guys can actually extend their line out. Now, if we do that, we're going to lose the benefit. We're going to lose this protective benefit we get from the orchard here on the right hand side. However, it also means that we're less likely to get flanked. So we're going to do that. We're going to deploy them in the extended line formation. Let's do that, and we're going to deploy them down to the right flank. Now you'll see it actually is represented now by 2 units, but the strength has gone down to 50%. So you'll see that they've moved themselves out now, so they're covering 200 meters. We're going to do that on the other flank too. Yeah, because we don't want to be shooting uphill. Okay, so you get a penalty for shooting uphill. I might move these skirmishers out first. Let's get these guys around the edge of this line, and then we're going to... Oh, they're disordered, look. Ah, that's interesting. So they're in line formation, they're disordered. Let's fire into those guys. Now we're getting an enfilade bonus. Enfilade. Enfilade is when you fire... You've got a... Let's say you've got a line facing that way, look, and, you know, you are shooting down their flank. You've got more chance to hit more people because you're shooting down the depth of the line. If you see the... Sorry, yeah, you're shooting down the kind of like the width of the line. So there's more people to get shot, and you get a bonus for that. The whole concept of flanking being a really important thing is huge in Napoleonics. It's really, really big. Like, battles were won and lost just depending on whether the enemy thought that they were going to get flanked or not. Let's move these skirmishers. Let's get them up onto this hill, which means that these guys are going to have to assault us if they want to get off it. Okay. I wonder, can we get... Yeah, we've got these guys here. They're going to wait for engagement. I think these guys here... We also want to stretch these units out, I think. What have we got here? We've got 2 lines. Yeah, we've got two sections here. Yeah, we got this. We got these guys here now. We've got 600 men all in this one line. So only the front line can be able to shoot here, usually, depending on how many, depending on the frontage. But you know, if you've got multiple units, usually there's only a certain percentage of the men who can actually shoot. So that's not the best position for those guys. I think I'm going to keep these two just shortened. Now, they get a 75% penalty to shooting when they're shortened, because a lot of the men are stood at the back and they can't actually shoot. However, I don't want to be spreading these guys out too much. So I might just spread these out on this end. Spread them out on the left flank. There we go. Okay, I'm going to keep the Brigadier General with them. Alright. We're about done, I think, for the turn. We're not going to be shooting with anything here. I don't want to be wasting ammunition shooting uphill and... you know, too many hexes. We have got a hex range of 4. We're not going to do enough damage at that range. It's kind of pointless. I think we're about done. Let's just hit N just to go through all the units that we've not considered moving. There we go. And we're going to end the turn. This is our melee phase. Now, there's no melee that I want to do, so I'm just going to end this immediately. And now the French get to make their turn number 2. One of the updates to the Napoleonic series that's happened recently is that they've had a big AI improvement. Now, the AI on these games was a little bit mixed, to be honest. Originally, it was the Napoleonic series was kind of well known, I think, for having AI that wasn't very flexible. So once you'd figured it out, you could probably beat it quite easily. That was a good. By the way, we got quite a lot of kills on that unit moving in with our defensive fire. But apparently, the AI has had to polish up, and it's meant to be better now. So I'm really interested to see how well it stays up. Now, if you want a real strong challenge, you're always going to be wanting to play multiplayer because, you know, game AI can't beat a human. Once the humans got used to the game, right? However, my experience of the Napoleonic games is that they are fun to play if you're, you know, like a kind of casual player like myself. They will put up enough challenge that, you know, you feel like you're making a difference and you can really struggle to win. Hopefully the AI now is really improved. Lost 5 men there again from this line. I took 6 in return though. That's pretty good. So you want your skirmishers kind of like tying up the enemy because they're able to hide in terrain. So skirmishers will get in the way. Again, those guys lost 12 men to the defensive fire here. Oh, they assaulted us off in line formation. That's interesting. Okay, so one of our skirmishers routed as well. So we might be able to get them back on the field. Yeah, now, who are they part of? Oh, this is the 6th Brigade. Okay, so 6th Brigade, 3 Corps. So that's going to be this guy, right? Yeah, he's the 3 Corps divisional head. Yeah, he's a divisional leader. We don't have a corps level commander here. This is going to be his commander. So if they're within command range of this guy, no, they're not. I think we want to move him down. So they're within command range, look. So they've got more chance of being able to rally. Okay. Alright, it's our turn. So I think what we're going to do here is first we're going to get these guns. We're going to have to protect these guns. Now, do the enemy have cavalry? I don't see any, do you? The enemy doesn't have cavalry. I don't see why we can't place these guns up on this ridge here. This is actually a good place for them anyway, I'd say. The only area we're not hitting is this, you know, this kind of front line here. But we can certainly attack these groups as they come in. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to hit anything limbered up like this, so we're going to turn counterclockwise. That's going to be shooting that way. I think I'm going to turn them here again. Okay, so now we're going to be shooting this way. Okay, and let's unlimber them. Oh, we can't. Okay, wow. So we're going to have to unlimber them next turn. Yeah, as you can see, moving artillery is really, really time consuming. Horse artillery, on the other hand, does not have that problem. Let's get these guys. Let's get these guys limbered up, and we're going to move them. Let's get them up onto here. Okay, they can unlimber and shoot on the same turn because they are moving a lot quicker. Now, cavalry. We can threaten their flank here with the cavalry. I think I might do that. Let's get these guys. Let's just get one group of the cavalry, and we'll bring the general in as well. Okay. Now these guys are they are going to be threatening a cavalry charge next turn. I'll move the other cavalry up this way. I want to keep them within range of the... Yeah, let's move them up here like that. See if we can kind of draw some shots in from these guys as they come in. Okay, they are getting in the way of the artillery there, but they're not going to be able to fire till next turn anyway, so I can probably move these in before we fire, so that's okay. Let's have a look at the yeah, what can we see with the heavy artillery? Ah, look, we've got an enfilade attack. So we've got 350 odd men, most of whom are in a line. Let's send some artillery shells down that way. Okay, we killed 8 men. I got some counter battery from the other artillery, but we only did fatigue damage. Now, for those of you who've watched the modern campaigns game, fatigue works similar to in this. So fatigue represents, you know, minor injuries, ammunition loss, you know, and physical fatigue, such that it requires repair, you know, waiting around and repairs in order to regenerate. Now, once you go over 200 fatigue, you start getting penalties to the way that you fight, and once you get over 600, I think, then you get severe penalties, and then once you're over 800, I think, or I think 800 is the maximum. Once you're at 800 fatigue, you're going to rout basically if you get, you know, come into any combat whatsoever because you're just completely exhausted, no ammunition. You know, it doesn't model ammunition necessarily, but it'll be things like, you know, horses are tired. Any equipment that you've got's all worn through. You know, your gun or the muskets kind of jammed up with all the gunpowder, that kind of stuff. Okay, let's fire these guns too. We're going to fire them at the same unit. I'm not going to bother firing at the guns because we're going to be able to assault those soon, I think. Okay. Now, we've got a light brigade here. These guys can deploy skirmishers. I think we're going to do that. Let's get these skirmishers out. We're not gonna completely deploy them into skirmishes, but I think we're gonna send some skirmishers out. Try and get around the side of these. Ah, look, we got some more guns. So we can actually see other guns here. Now, bearing in mind, you are able to. There's often kind of runners and horse messengers that will run between different units. So that's why you can see this kind of information, this new information that's coming in. Let's try and get these guys. No, we can't move any further. Okay, I think we want to come at these guns. What kind of guns are they? Yeah, they're normal guns. They're not going to be able to fire here. So let's get these guys up this way. We're going to take some fire as we come in, by the way. They can also deploy skirmishers, but I think we're not going to here. I think we want more troops. There we go. So we're in. Taking some incoming fire. Skirmishers kill 4 men. Okay, and next turn we're gonna assault up a hill. Now that's not always the best idea, but these guns are going to fire at us as we run up as well. However, we are probably going to win that melee. We've got a column, a big one as well, 800 men. This is a big column. So we're gonna take this hill, I'd say. Let's send these light brigade. Where can we get to? Ah, we can get right round here. Look. Now those cannons are going to be able to shoot them, I think, but I think we're probably going to be okay now. Okay, we don't have enough movement to be able to turn here. They're going to take some shot. The light brigade are going to take some casualties coming in, unfortunately, I think. But we could have completely deployed those, by the way, into skirmishers and and then reorganize them later. There are some potential problems that can come with that. These guys are in a restricted unit. That means they can't actually deploy any skirmishers. They're probably not a good enough formation. Let's get these guys moving up directly. These guys are a quality B. These are quality D. I think I'm going to use these quality D troops. And we're going to try to... Yeah, I might get these guys moving up here. And I think we're going to assault these skirmishers on this first round. See if we can rout something or two. Okay, we're going to move our Brigadier General up. Okay. Yeah, let's move this group up this way. Now, can we get them into... Have we got enough movement to put them into line formation? Now, when you're doing this, by the way, there is a threat value that comes from units. So what you want to do is you right-click here. Yeah, there's 2 threat. Use this number in this line here. What that means is there's kind of like a 2% chance for you to become disordered by changing formation. Let's just do that. Oh, sorry, this one here. Okay, we're in a shortened line. So bearing in mind, we're going to be getting 75% attack reduction because we are a very large unit. Now the stacking limit on this is 613. So you see, we've actually got the maximum number of troops actually on this hex. Okay. I think we're gonna charge in with these. I think we're gonna go with melee here, and we're gonna try and take this hill through melee. All right, coming up to 40 minutes. Let me finish this turn, and then we're going to end the episode, guys. What else have we got to move or fire? Okay, these guys can fire at this group on the hill. I think we're going to fire with the skirmishers first, though. Enfilade. Let's try and disrupt this group. 14 men. Look at that. That was really good. These are good skirmishers. Okay, once you fired, you can't move, by the way. I'm happy with them staying there. They should be all right. Let's get the extended flank of this unit firing. See if we can disorder the units. Once you disorder them, you drastically reduce their combat effectiveness. Do the same with this part of the line too. Okay, just kill 4 men there. Can't shoot here. Okay, now the light brigade here. These guys can shoot. I might get... Yeah, that's a shortened line as well. Let's deploy some skirmishers here. This one, isn't it? Yep. Change skirmisher squadron. And we're going to get these skirmishers into the orchard here, so they've got a bit of a defensive bonus. And then we're going to start getting them firing. We fire at. Could fire up these guys. These are on a hill, but they are enfilade. Enfilade. Okay, these guys are enfilade as well. Let's fire here. 2 men killed. Okay. $19 men. Now, really what we want is that we... Oh, yeah, we can get skirmishers out here too. I don't think I will, though. Let's just keep firing. Okay, and then the second part of this line. Oh, we've got cavalry. Oh, that's my cavalry. Of course it is. Okay. Now, it's to be noted, by this part of the Napoleonic Wars, the French were very, very depleted after 1812 and their failed invasion of Russia. Their armies were destroyed, and Napoleon raised another army really quickly, but there were less veteran troops to go round, and so there's a lot of conscripts and a lot of kind of like teenagers in his army. So the quality of the French units is a lot less overall in this game than it is you'll see in, for example, the Peninsular War games, or in the earlier battles. Okay, let's get these guys moving in. Now, you don't want the skirmishers to move too far from their parent units because they are more likely to rout if they do. I think it's 3 hexes they want to be within, if I remember right. Oh, okay. We've actually detected another unit up on this hill. We couldn't see them. There's 2 units here. I call them units. That's not the right term. These are, I think, companies. I think they're, your brigade will be split into multiple companies. Yeah, that's right. Then companies will be split into platoons in modern parlance, I guess. Let's get these guys firing. Got Grenadier Guards, and we've got some light regiment skirmishers. Let's fire at the Grenadier Guards. These are probably going to be the stronger unit, by the way. The Guards are usually better troops. Okay. Now, these are in a shortened line. Can they fire? Yes. Okay, kill 5 men. Let's see what else we've not moved. Okay, Division General needs to be... Okay, he's within range of him. This is command range. Let's move him down 1. Just so we got the cavalry in range as well. I mean, we could have moved them directly onto this routing unit, and it would have been more likely to unroute them, to rally them, I think is the word. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, these guys can fire. Okay, so let's... Can they? Yeah, they should be able to. Oh no, they have fired. Sorry, wrong unit. Yes, these guys here. They can do it, but they. No, they can deploy skirmishers as well. Let's do that. Let's get those skirmishers out too, and we're going to put those guys into this building here. Okay. Okay, all units have been considered. Let's end the turn. Now it's our melee phase. Yeah, let's do this. So we've got this. I think the main melee here. Yeah, we're not going to attack with the cavalry this turn. I want to charge with the cavalry, and they'll do more damage. Now you might find that because these guys have been threatened, they're going to go into a square formation, which is going to be great because we've got guns ready to plow right through a square formation. Going to do a lot of damage. Yeah. So melee-wise, I think we want to be going up here. These guys are in line formation. We could clear these off, but I kind of like the idea of killing the guns. That's an interesting choice because if we melee into this, it's going to be harder to take this hill. But they are in line formation. We're in a column, and we got a big column as well. Yeah, advantage attacker. Okay, I'm going to go for that instead of the guns. Let's see how that works. So let's just it's Control P, but I just wanted to see. Yeah, resolve melee. There we go. So we lost 16 attackers, but we killed 99 defenders. Excellent. Now we've pushed them back. They're still in line formation, but they are disordered. They're not going to be able to shoot very effectively next turn. That's really, really good. We've actually got a foothold on this hill. Now, what we could do with these guys is turn around and then take on these guns. Now, these guns are going to be able to shoot up here. I could have, or you know, we're going to lose troops. The light brigade are going to suffer because of this decision, by the way. But I feel like now we can actually push through and get round the back, this side of these guns, and these guys are going to be in big trouble. Now these might be able to shoot here, but yeah, we've got a strong foothold here. Let's see what else we can do. That's going to be it on this side. I don't want to melee with the skirmishers. They're not strong enough. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for the melee. Yeah, so the other option we had was to go for the guns here, and then the next turn round and take these guys. The thing is, we'd have taken a point blank a point blank salvo from these heavy guns, and these are heavy guns, and they'd be loaded with ball shot, which would be devastating at close range. So I think pushing these guys back might have been the better option there, but we'll see. Okay. Yeah, we can melee here into these skirmishes too. Now, these guys should be cut off, I think. Gonna get some defensive fire off first. They killed 13 men going in. Oh no, that's there we go. Yeah, so we lost 7 men, killed 23. That's good. We've disordered these skirmishes. That is a good thing to do. Because these skirmishes are now on the wrong side of our skirmishes, and they're going to have to do something. They're disordered as well, so we'll be able to pick them apart. Okay. It's just telling us all the other troops that we can melee with, but I don't want to melee with skirmishes, so or with the cavalry. Not yet. Okay. Anyway, folks, I'm going to end the episode here. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the series. Like, I love these Napoleonic games. I think they're really good. This is a really small, battle. The big ones are really, really interesting because there's so much room for maneuver that they're just one of the most tactical war games that I've ever played. They're just so good, so much fun. Anyway, I'll catch you next time, guys. Take care.